What's up, dudes? Welcome back to another episode of Rhomas Men's Team. Pretty simple. We are a group of guys helping each other make progress towards each other's goals. If you're new to the channel, awesome and welcome. If you want to help support the channel and join our pro team, head over to rhomasteam.com/pro, where you can contribute to us on a donation basis. We also give you access to exclusive content, mastermind groups, etc., etc. So anyway, hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll see you on the team.
Here we go. Here we are. We're live now. I was just seeing how everything was going. What's up?
5 days in a row working out for you, as you just drew my attention to.
Dude, I'm on the ball. You know what? This is funny. This is worth mentioning because it's something that's I've struggled with, finding things that are innately motivating for me, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like, weight, when I see the number, I don't know. It doesn't really sway me very much whether I'm like, 180 or 175. Like I genuinely, it doesn't get me going. But what I've been, and I say this, and it's like I don't like not care about it, but it doesn't like.
Sure.
It wasn't the thing that can sustain my interest, let's say.
Right.
And what I found useful, and I'll preface this by saying I'm 174. I went down the weight thing. And the funniest thing is I was like, yeah, let me check, let me see, because I feel like I've been doing pretty well with like in terms of discipline and eating. The thing that's worked for me in terms of like dieting and all this stuff and like weight, health, etc., has been I've been on a mission the last this year. I've been really into meditating. I mean, there's no denying that for myself. I really enjoy that. The thing that has worked for me weight wise isn't so much the weight, the aesthetic outcome, although again, all that stuff's great and I love it, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. But
it wasn't enough to keep me motivated for a long enough time to like actually get myself down, kind of like below the, 175 threshold. The thing that keeps me motivated is testing whether or not I have Matilda, shut up. Testing whether or not I have the ability to kind of keep that thing in check, which was driving me to kind of eat when I didn't need to or eat unnecessary amounts. So really, it's a long way to say that I'm really just kind of the meditative approach has spilled into my ability to kind of keep weight loss within some sort of manageable area unexpectedly, which is strange.
So would you say it's your interest in mastering your mind, or it's the fact that you're mastering your mind makes it easier to manage your...
I think the reason I can't talk is because I have been fasting so much, my brain doesn't work. But that's exactly it, man. I went from, rather than a physical, I need to master my body, I was like, I need to master my mind, and the body just followed right along. It's very weird. So I've been doing very good with that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that makes complete sense. Now, have you noticed there's different degrees of hunger or different sensations that you're now able to notice that maybe you were not able to notice before?
No, I mean, I get like not so much on the hunger side, but on the eating side. Okay. Like I now like I would just eat these things that I used to eat and take pleasure. Like I would take like pleasure in eating them, but I just didn't notice how shitty I was feeling after certain meals, because I would just chalk it up to like, oh man, I pigged out. But in reality, like I prefer the feeling of like not having a ton of food in my system to like being full, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I
don't like that feeling anymore at all.
Yeah, I can relate to. Okay, still hear me?
Yeah, your audio just switched somehow. There you go.
Okay. So I can't say I have the same exact experience, but now I can say I know what it feels like, the difference between being like my body expecting the next meal and actually being hungry.
Yes, exactly.
All right. I just entertained our office out in Ohio for the last 11 days. They're leaving tomorrow. So I've been eating more frequently. I know for sure that on Wednesday at noon, my body's going to expect food because that's what I've been giving it. And traditionally, I would have thought that would have been hunger, but it's not. It's just some sort of like expectation that my body has. It's like, oh, okay, time to eat. But not actually hungry. Because right now I put on a boatload of body fat. And And then there's a clear distinction between that, expecting food, and legitimately being hungry.
Yeah, dude, I totally agree. And the thing I've been trying to figure out how to say, you kind of just somehow put it into my brain. The thing that I find more rewarding and interesting to me in a long-term sustainable, endeavor of like health, wellness, holistic performance, all that stuff, is the quest of kind of learning how to frustrate whatever that is. You can call it your ego. I don't know what it is. Whatever that is, that thing that makes me kind of unconsciously like reach into a bag of caramel popcorn, the thing that makes me like not vacuum my little workspace. For me, it's all connected. If I can't control it in this area, it's now I can't control it in this area, and in this area that you can go into a million different areas. And I've been just clamping down one by one on these little thoughtless actions I engage in that were totally justified, to myself, because I'd be like, oh, it's just what I do. I'm blah blah blah, and just completely going against all of that stuff and all of that kind of self-programming. And it's just, for me, the fun of it is seeing how far I can take that, within a healthy degree, but seeing what my true limits are and what my kind of self-imposed limits are around myself. And dude, that for me is way more, again, this is a personal thing, way more sustainable and interesting for me. Because before I'd be like, what am I, 180, 175? I don't really care. But now I'm like that. I'm using that now as a measure of like, again, we talked about numbers last week. That's kind of like, wow, I actually, I'm not just over here jerking myself off. I've been implementing changes, and it's like, they're actual changes. I'm like, damn, 174, didn't even notice. That's crazy. And it's like, trying to split that out to everything else as well. I think I lost Wes. Morning, y'all. Let me see if I can grab that dude back on here. Get back over here. But yeah, and it's, it's hard to explain, but I'm curious, what would you say in terms of like, and I hate to juxtapose things. Does it make sense what I'm talking about? Do you think there's a difference between that and like being like, I just want pure aesthetics? Like, is it really, what I'm talking about isn't one versus the other. It's like really more so finding the actual thing that motivates and resonates with you in a way that like actually sustains you long term.
Yeah, well, I think that translates to anything. I think there are going to be broad stroke things that we want. I mean, and I think, in my opinion, let's be clear, aesthetics are never really the thing, right? Aesthetics usually are supposed to, what do they call it, be like the Zaharian signal towards the underlying thing, which is very fascinating to me. Aesthetics are supposed to be the signal that you're strong, that you're tough, that you are mentally strong, that you're disciplined enough not to go and do those things. So I would say actually you are hitting on more of the core of motivation than what most of us are doing, which is going at the kind of the second level degree of motivation.
Yeah, no, I could see that. It's just, I've just been pumped. I was excited to share that all, because I was in the mountains all weekend, Again, I wasn't perfect. Like, I brought up snacks for everyone, and I'd catch myself, dude, just mindlessly just shoveling fucking popcorn. Yeah. And I'd be like, it almost like I'm like 5 seconds behind myself. I'm like, I'm not even enjoying this. I'm just like, rah. And I like towards the end of the, we went up there, just really quick trip. On Saturday, I had bought these like potato chips, or like these fucking fancy like everything bagel potato. I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait to eat these. I swear to, I think I enjoy packaging more than I do actual food. Like, I saw the packaging looks so cool. I started eating them. I'm like, these are all right, I guess. And everything, it's like, I don't know, why do I eat? And at the end of the night, we had a little bonfire, and I was just throwing the chips in the fire and watching them fucking, the oil makes them kind of flare up. But it was like, I'm getting no pleasure. Like, why do I continuously trick myself into buying and consuming shit like this?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy it.
Yeah, I can totally agree. I mean, I understand why the human body would want food. I mean, that's just a primal urge. But I can definitely understand the socialization and the marketing of it has just gotten us to respond like Pavlov's dog. I mean, totally can understand that.
Yeah. So, no, absolutely, man. It's insane. It's just, for me, the most rewarding thing is like seeing how much of that stuff you can chip away at. Like, how much of that, like, I can't work out 5 days in a row. That's too much. And then, like, I found a pace at which I can actually do that. Like, I don't go crazy in the gym, but I'm there Monday through Friday. I'm there. If I'm not in the gym, I'm taking at least a 3-4 mile hike with my dogs. And like, dude, Monday through Friday, no excuses, there every day. Even if I'm a little tired, it's like, well, I'll just work out a little less, but I'm still going to get here and get my blood pumping.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Completely
it's been fantastic, man. It's been fantastic. So I'd urge everybody.
What gym you go to?
It's called Anytime Fitness.
Yep.
It's not bad. But
yeah, No, man, I agree. I actually told somebody at the gym that my goal with the gym is even if I get in there for minimum 10 minutes, like that's my minimum goal, 10 minutes. And that's never happened. Maybe I've only done that once where I've gone in only for 10 minutes. Usually it's like, okay, even though I only get 10 minutes, I end up getting 20, 30, 40 minutes in. So you put together a string of 5. When's the last time you put together a string of 5 gym workouts?
I couldn't tell
or
you.
Just 5 workouts in general?
Last time is when we did the Apple Watch competition between the two of us. That was the only time I've done that before that. And I was dogged, bro. I was working out like a freak too because I was doing the push-up competition with my cousins. And, so I had like a bunch of things going on at once and I just burned myself out. That's probably why I stopped going to the gym for 2 months.
Probably. Burnout's a real thing.
Yeah, man. I burnt myself out, and now I've hit a nice little groove where it's like, I make sure I have my little... The Apple Watch, I do swear by it, man. Like, again, the Fitbit, I'm sure it works as well, too. It's just having that little... I have to burn 750 calories, at least, that my Apple Watch recognizes a day. And it's like, it seems like for me, I'd always be like, I don't really need that, but it helps, man. Especially when you're kind of competing with other people, it helps big time.
Well, have you seen the new version of Apple Fitness Plus that's coming out?
No.
So there's a couple things. Number one, I'm going to get it. I'm getting a new Apple Watch. I'm just waiting for it to come out. I think it comes out officially in a couple of days, October 15th. I don't even know what date it is. So it comes out then, but then Apple Fitness Plus, which is I think $10 a month, they just added Pilates, and also you can Pilates, yoga, HIIT training, like all this stuff. I think weight training too, like guided weight training. And now you can search by time, right? So I would need a 10-minute workout that is beginner level, that is Pilates, right? Like that's pretty legit. You can kind of do that on YouTube, but it's not always like so easy. And these are high-level professionals, I assume, from Apple. And then what else? Oh, you can do group workouts. So not only can you do the challenges, but I can invite you to a Pilates session, and I assume it'll be some sort of FaceTime version of it, like almost, which is pretty cool.
It's like Peloton.
I assume
sort of.
I've never seen,
Peloton's that exercise bike that has like an interactive component where like you're competing in real time with other people and like you're seeing their results and tracking yours. Pretty cool. I've never done one, but
that makes sense.
The more stuff like that, the better, man. If I can, if you can turn kind of phone games into like, all right, I'm going to like kind of race this guy in real time, that'd be really fun.
Yeah. So we might have to consider trying that. I think they give you like a free month. Yeah. I'm going to get my new watch in a couple of days. I have one, so we could probably already do it now, but I don't think the new version of Apple Fitness Plus is out yet. I think that I would imagine that is also released when the new watch is released in a few days.
Yeah, I'm going to keep my eyes out. That'll be fun. But yeah, and dude, honestly too, it's like, it's a big deal, man. These little, especially for me, it's like these little kind of micro shifts and like, let me reorient my entire day around like meditating first thing in the morning. Like actually I did that. And then it was like, okay, I can't get to the gym reliably. Why not? Well, cause I have to work, I have to do all these things. It's like, okay, what if you just go to the gym first thing in the morning, let the other stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, that was just a thing I was convincing myself of. Now I'm a million times better off. And it's like, dude, it's important, man, because especially with all the COVID stuff, I think they're saying 80% of the COVID deaths in America were people who were overweight.
Oh, I believe it.
So, yeah, I mean, that's, and again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I think it's something like that. And it's like, I think it's really, and we've talked about this before, but it's like, it's really kind of, I think the siren bell's ringing, like, hey, man, like, nobody's going to do this for you. Like, you really got to start taking care of yourself. I was in the Poconos this weekend, walking up these big ass fucking, like, the hills were genuinely like, dude, I carried my up this hill and I was fucking gassed. It was insane. I went up and down a couple times and I was watching people go down it and I was genuinely being like, I don't think you're going to be able to come up this thing, man. Like, not in a dickheadish way, but being like, this is a problem, bro. Yeah. And it's like, we need to be able to traverse mountains and shit. I don't know. Like, we got to take the nipple out of our mouth for all the bullshit and the junk food, dude. Pop it out, dude.
No, man, it's funny. You're preaching right now because I need to hear it. Like, I need to get back on my own journey again, because the last handful of weeks, right, just and maybe even months from the seminars, like, I'm nowhere near operating at optimal.
Yeah.
And that's a really good question to ask ourselves. Like, are you operating around optimal? Like, what distance away from optimal are you? Whatever that means to you. and I'm nowhere close to it.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome question, because my optimal diet that I just can never stick to, like my fantasy diet, like the way I'd like to eat, is more so just meat and veggies. It's like just meat and veggies. I always buy stuff. I'm like, I'm going to do this. And then I end up, I've been getting close where I'm just pretty much doing rice, meat and veggies. But I want to take out, I always convince myself, if I don't have enough carbohydrates, I'll starve or I'll get lightheaded. But this is my next phase, is I'm going to start doing like breakfast and lunch is just meat and veggies. And I can always eat like dinner with Britt, whatever she cooks. But that's the that's the move, man. I'll be honest on that. And I'll keep you guys in tune how that works for me, and if I can stick to like, literally steak and broccoli 2 times a day, chicken and broccoli, and maybe some fruit and nuts as snacks, but that's it.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel about? I mean, like, in my opinion, you're gonna need some sort of starchy carbohydrate. What are your thoughts on potatoes or sweet potatoes?
I eat them. That's the ones I eat now. So I eat potatoes. Good. I eat potatoes, sweet potatoes. So I will eat those. My problem is I look at my plate and sometimes I pile up the potatoes. So I'm trying to keep it. I'm trying to keep that starchy carb to vegetable ratio at least equal, if not like kind of I can get by on the day. If I do meat and veggies, I should be good during the day. And if I have a little bit of fruit and like some nuts, I should be good. And then at nighttime, I can just eat like whatever for dinner. Yeah.
And when was the last time you were down at 184?
174.
I'm sorry, 174.
174. Last time I was down this low was when I was doing like jiu-jitsu like 4 or 5 times a day.
Damn.
Yeah, well, and I was down back then. I was actually down to like, I think I was like fucking like 162. I was shredded, dude. But I was eating like shit still. But I was doing like, I was like redlining myself cardio wise, and now I'm doing like really pleasant workouts and just chilling. Right. So
yeah, because you're inspiring me, because I haven't weighed myself in a while. I'm probably like you're probably lower than me. I'm probably like 176, 177, something like that.
Yeah.
Pisses me off. God damn it.
Well, yeah, you'll probably drop down pretty quickly. But yeah, dude, I'm telling you, that's what I would tell people. If you're in a spot where you're like, yeah, I'm doing it, I'm just, I don't really care. It's like, if you can connect weight loss, fitness, cleanliness. I mean, I've turned, when you weren't here, Wes, I turned my camera around and showed people the basement I sit in, like just the state of things. And
really?
Shot, like, cleanliness is my next thing that I'm going to start taking on, of like, orderliness and cleanliness in my abode. But dude,
it was terrifying. Let's have it.
That's how I roll, bro. I mean, that is a storage issue, but we'll.
I saw a hostage in the corner.
That is a storage issue, which little by little, I'm gonna start working that out. But yeah, man, for me, that's been the avenue that's been successful, of like kind of combining the diet thing to kind of everything else you're trying to do in life. It's like, well, if you can't do that, what else are you trying to do? And why aren't you? Like, what is that thing that's telling you like, not right now, or I can't, or it's like, I've been really pushing myself to just let my experience tell me whether or not I can do things. And dude, before it was like, oh, there's no way I can get by on this little. If I was working out, I was eating like an Olympic sprinter. If I went to the gym for like 30 minutes and did the Olympical, I would eat like a D1 lineman. Be like, well, dude, I need to fuel back up. But yeah, man, it's like, push, and it's a process, because at first what happened was, and I know I'm blabbing on, I'm just excited, but like, dude, I would get genuinely lightheaded, man. God bless you.
Yeah.
I would get genuinely fucking lightheaded at the gym and be like, no, this is true. But it's one of those things where it's like, your body adapts for real. Like, my body's adapted now to where like I genuinely don't need that much food. I'm working out more than I've ever worked out. I'm eating less than I've ever worked out, and it's like, or less than I've ever eaten. And like, your body, same thing with the cold showers, cold baths. At first, I would do the cold shower and be like, I can't, like, I literally couldn't breathe, felt like I was gonna pass out. Now I can literally just, I'm gonna work my way back down to an ice bath, which I utterly failed.
Oh yes.
But I was like, dude, I would hit the cold shower and I'm like, I can't breathe right now. Like, I'm gonna fucking pass out. Now I hit them every day, and it's like nothing. Yeah. So it's like, your body does adapt. It just takes time. So
it absolutely adapts. Yeah, and that's why I'd recommend. I do like doing extreme challenges every once in a while, just because I don't know. I think it's a good mental test. But I do think the human beings, it's amazing how much you can adopt and adapt to by incremental change. Your body, your body is like a version of an X-Man that I think we often don't realize. It's insane.
Yeah,
I'll never forget when you tried the cold bath at my gym that one time. Like Matt, literally, we had this cold tub. I was next to the hot tub, and I had been used to it because of the incremental adaptation, like Matt is referring to. I've just been doing it every day, and it literally didn't faze me anymore. It was never really comfortable, but I could easily just walk in, and it was nothing special with me. Everybody who I knew who did it every day could just walk in, and Matt had not been doing it, so I invited him to the gym, and you could imagine it's probably like a 4x4 tub, and Matt goes in, and he instantly, almost like kitty cat style, attaches all of his claws, like his feet and his hands, to each side of the wall, and like so his body, and props his body up so his body won't touch the water. He's like, I swear to God, I can't do it. I'm gonna pass out. I can't fucking do it,
dude. My calf muscle cramped. I'd never seen that before. My calf muscle all collected up towards my knee. My muscle went from my leg length to like a little tiny ball. It was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ray, to answer your question, I saw this question in the comments saying, what's the health benefits? So I think there's two that I can, one that I can anecdotally speak to. Number one, enormous mental benefits. Like it's almost like Matt saying, it's another aspect of which you can master your mind. And that has a whole ton of downstream effects. The other thing is sleep, right? For me, when I was doing that, because I can't find a gym out here that has a cold plunge out here in California. But when I was doing that back in Pennsylvania, I would go into the cold plunge and then the hot tub almost every single time I worked out, which was 5-6 nights a week. And I would get phenomenal night's sleep every single night. And I would guess that would be from, exertion and then constriction, expand, contract of the muscles. And when you get into a cold tub, that cold tub was like 42 degrees, which is super cold. A lot of people don't think that's cold. That is like crazy cold. You get this super tight feel, and then everything releases. Now, from what I hear, apparently what that supposedly does is when you get your body to a temperature of extreme cold, it sends a lot of your blood to your vital organs to protect them. And apparently there's some sort of like nutrient saturation that happens when your blood is pulled in or around towards those organs. And then when you get back to normal temperature, that blood is released and then spreads those nutrients throughout your body. Apparently, I don't know how true that is, but I can definitely speak to the anecdotal things that I've experienced, like mental toughness, as well as like just extreme relaxation after you've done that exercise.
Yeah, and I also like I've read the same thing about pulling your blood and it like redistributes it or whatever. But yeah, from an anecdotal perspective, it's like the sleep, 100%, dude. You sleep so good. When I would take like my cold baths and go to bed, you sleep like a baby. There's also to the cold showers, there's something I do. Again, I try to do it all in a meditative vein, but it's like when the cold water hits me, I want to get out. It forces me at least to get in touch with a part of me that can withstand very, very uncomfortable things, which, I'm still working on developing. But for me, like you were saying, that's like one of the mental exercises I do where it's like my body's cold. I don't want this cold water on me. It's like, I'll let it hit different parts of my body. Like it'll be on me and I'll expose it my back to it and, kind of move around because every spot, like not this spot, and you hit it, you're like, just kind of staying with that thing inside you that's just like completely calm while your body's like, blah, because like you can cultivate that. And it's, that's been kind of nice. And yeah, it is good for your skin and your hair apparently. Sod.
Do you focus on your breathing when you're doing that?
I try to. The only problem is like the water's rushing at me, so I'll breathe it in through my nose. But I do try to maintain steady breathing as much as possible. So I usually take it in through my mouth. Pause. I'll have to breathe through my mouth. I breathe through my mouth when I'm doing that, which I typically try not to do. But yeah, I do try to like not give in to the shudders or just let my body do what it needs to do. And then once it relaxes, reducing breathing.
Do you go straight in front or have you ever gone in back facing, like letting the water hit the back of your neck? Because that is the hardest part for me. Really, letting the water. That is brutal.
With the shower, literally, it's kind of funny. I didn't even think about this, but with the shower, what I have been doing, I should switch to full cold shower because I take a regular shower, and then the last 5 minutes, I turn it all the way cold, kneel down, and then just take it. It just comes right on, hits me right on the head, and I like the back is when I kind of. Like I'll lean forward and it hits my back, and that's when I'm like, and then I like go this way. So like the top of your head acclimates, and then that's when you're like, I'm comfortable here, and I make sure to move and hit all the parts of my body.
Right. Oh, so you're going last. I normally go first, so then I've got something to look forward to.
No, I go last, and then you pop out like, bah.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I might have to try that. Okay.
It's nice. It's a James Bond shower.
Oh, and yours, your water though, I would say you're lucky. Maybe some people consider unlucky. You're heading into a time now where the water back east is way colder than what I
Chilly.
experience out here.
Chilly. It's
Oh,
chilly.
yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
either way, like I said, it's just the exercise of, but you still have that Pacific Ocean, so that's pretty nice.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's the real deal. Like during the winter, that is definitely the real deal. Hopping in the Pacific Ocean. Oh man, that thing is brutal.
yeah, man. Well, dude,
Cool.
what's the plan this week? What are you up to?
So I need to get back to the basics. The last 5 months, I think, if I'm calculating correctly, have just been completely off the norm because of the classes that I've been doing, and then now hosting the guys out in Ohio. That office coming out here for a week and a half, or almost 2 weeks. So it'll be nice to get back, right? Like back to the fundamentals. Now the cool thing is, and I would highly recommend this for anybody. What I learned over this last week, and honestly over this last year, is find a mastermind group in your career, right? That I can. It's crazy how beneficial that is. I've never really had that, so now I started kind of masterminding with people in finance. And historically, I kind of looked at them as competitors, right? And it's not just Team out in Ohio. I never looked at them as competitors, but like I'm now talking to different investment managers, and more proactively and more frequently. And man, it's just such a game changer. And Ray, to answer your question, you said, what's a mastermind group? Mastermind group is literally just like let's call it a brainstorming group, like a brainstorming / action group. It's what we do here, right? Like getting a bunch of guys together, talking about what the goals are, what's the vision, and so on. Now, for your career in particular, I think it's so important now to have that mastermind group with your career. Man, I like almost like Delco Gym. What Delco Gym and Matt talked about a few weeks ago is a purest example of what a mastermind can do. Delco Jim came on the show and was talking to Matt and I, not really me because Matt's a comedian. And Delco Jim's like, "Oh, I'm experiencing this," and because Matt has already had that experience with I think you guys were talking about club owners and how to get on stage more frequently, regularly, etc. Man, Matt was able to give Delco Jim shortcuts like that, saying, "Oh, don't even worry about all this. Like you're doing all these things right now. Only worry about these two things or this one thing." And outside of a mastermind group or a mastermind conversation, Delco Jim would have, maybe it took him another 6 months to realize that. So Matt just saved him that 6 months. And that's just from a 5-minute conversation. And that's only from having one person, other person in the mastermind. When you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people, it's crazy what can happen. Crazy what can happen.
No, I agree, man. That kind of stuff helps big time, and it does suck. People become so atomized where it's like everyone's kind of going at it alone. So I totally agree.
Yeah, and specifically within a career, because a career, in most areas of life, you don't have to go very deep, right? Like with fitness, this is what is funny to me with people in fitness. They'll go and they'll follow somebody on Instagram, or they will buy somebody's program on Instagram who's a professional bodybuilder, let's say. And so they're going to give you a professional bodybuilding program. 99% of people do not need that. In fact, it's going to burn them out, like we were talking about earlier, and it's not going to fit within their life. Like you can't go to the gym for 2 hours a day, right? Like so I would argue that a lot of other areas of life, you do not need to go more than 70% in, 80% in roughly. But most of the attractive programming in a lot of those areas is 100% program because of the fact that it's extreme makes it compelling. It's like, now I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to do P90X. I'm going to go from doing nothing to doing P90X, like formal Navy SEAL training, right? You're not going to, the probability of follow through on that is very minimal. However, I think in a career, because the goal should be mastery, to have a mission and a passion, not just a job, you got to be committed to going all the way in. And that requires a level of nuance and detail that nobody else is going to be able to give you other than people who work in that arena, and preferably who've worked in it for a while. So, I wish I would have started doing it like 10 years ago. I kind of did it, like dabbled in and out, but now I'm fully committed to like the team-based approach to my career. And dude, it makes so much fucking difference. So much difference.
pretty awesome. Yeah, I think people, I can definitely take that advice as well. I've especially tried with writing stuff, and I've always found writing groups to be somewhat unbearable. But it's like really finding, like you were saying, like really try to custom make it for yourself. Like find the people you really respect, and then kind of like, go from there. Because it's, that's good advice. Yeah, start it. If the one doesn't exist, start it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, that's the other thing. It is hard to find a good mastermind group. There's no doubt about it. I can tell you right now that we paid $25,000 to be part of one, and it was only 2 meetings, right? I never gone back to that one. It was good. It was actually, those people were a little too high level for me. I mean, these are right, like the stuff that they were talking about, I could not execute on because I didn't have a staff of 50 people to execute it like they do. Yeah. So then I paid $10,000 to be a part of another one, and that was more appropriate. But that was kind of a little too low. So now I'm looking for somewhere in the middle, like some sort of sweet spot. But dude, it's crazy. Like a 5-minute conversation, you're like, holy shit, like why didn't I think of that? And this guy's like, oh, just because I've been doing this 10 years longer than you have. That's why, I didn't find it out until 3 years ago. That's why.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So, and it gives you a sense of peace of mind, because oftentimes progress is not, in my opinion, is not about what you're doing necessarily as much as it is about what you're choosing not to do. Right? Like, like you told Delco Jim, don't do those things. Right? That right there is enormously beneficial, because now he's not wasting extra energy, and especially emotional energy, on those other things. And he can focus all of his energy on these one or two things.
No, absolutely, man. And especially with that, and I think probably to a bunch of other stuff, it's like, just get it's easy to distract yourself from the thing, whatever it is, of just getting as good as humanly possible. I think that just goes to a bunch of, people get caught up in the whole, well, that guy got promoted. It's like, whatever, man, that guy got promoted, or they're doing this thing. It's like, it's a long race, man. So it's like, get as good as humanly possible, and then, find, like slip into your opportunities where they pop up. But it's like you were saying, I completely agree. It's like, when you're making progress, there's things going on. I like the idea of like, it's good to just kind of like take away stuff. Like, don't do that. It's important. But there's also, you could be progressing in ways that like you just don't see or you're not cognizant of. But like people want this kind of like transactional one-to-one. Like, I did this and now I want this. It's like with a lot of things, especially a lot of important things related to your career, that's not really the case. And it's like, you do have to just put in the years and kind of swallow that pill of just like, this is going to take years and patience.
Oh, yeah. No, I completely agree. Outside of maybe initially dabbling in your career when, when you're just at the infancy of that stage, I was about to say when you're younger, it actually doesn't matter the age. Like, it really doesn't. When you're in the infancy of trying to figure out what you want to do next, you might have to dabble in a few different areas. But then once you are reasonably sure, and I think a way of developing whether or not you're reasonably sure is, okay, am I willing to do this for the next 5 years? Okay, how about 10 years? How about 25 years? I like the benchmark of 25 years because that helps me decide against a lot of things that my mind just wants to say, oh, maybe I'll do this over here because I can make a bunch of money like real quick. And I think we're all relatively susceptible to that versus like, what could I do for the next 25 years and what would I be happy with? And then that removes 99% of the options. But then to answer Delco Jim's question, he says that, don't we become the sum of the 5 people we hang out with most, that whole quote. Yes. And I think it's even more distinct than that. You have to find, in my opinion, separate teams for a lot of these things, right? Like if I want to get really good at dance, I can't go to my normal 5 group of people because none of them want to dance, right? I've got to go. And now what I try to do is find the best team for my lifestyle, right? To make the most progress. And if I want to go in my career, I find the best 5 or top 10, like that I can join a team with, do that. So I actually think it's probably something more like, you are a sum of the top 5 people or the average 5 people in your average 5 teams that you hang out with. That's my guess.
I agree, man. I think it's funny because like companies, I know a lot, I don't, my understanding of like the reality of like, I would say corporate jobs or jobs like that, I know they refer to a lot of things. It's like, oh, this is my team members. I'm on this team. I'm on that team. Yeah. I feel like it's not the same thing for some reason. I'd be curious. I think it's just everyone's kind of almost like a crabs in a bucket thing where it's like, hey, we're not really competing. We're just kind of learning from and helping each other out. But I feel like they kind of say that team thing within those kind of jobs, or like, you know, a standard, like you were saying, like being paid for the time you put in there. There's not a lot of, they don't really encourage, in my opinion, a lot of like discovery and self-development. It's like show up every day, and like ideally we'd have you in this position forever, because it's very beneficial for us to, you know, sell 9 million cups of coffee and pay you $10 an hour, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, there is a point where you have to like kind of shock yourself out of that stuff and be like, look, I'm going to get paid. I'm going to develop myself in an area I'm intrinsically interested in to the best of my ability, and kind of straddle those lines between practicality and kind of, you know, self-development that might sound weird to your boss, employer, or family, but something that might be calling you forward. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, no, well, definitely. And I would say, to your point on, let's say, general corporate America, I completely agree. And this can be extrapolated to a larger general sense with teams. You have to join teams, or try your best to join teams of people who have the similar or the same goals as you, and who take it equally as seriously. One of the issues with corporate America is 85% of people are working at that company because that's the job that hired them, and they need to make money. You know, so I think the distinction there is join teams, if you can, that are of people of equal or higher caliber than you are, or even say equally as ambitious. Because even if they're starting off and they're younger than you and they don't know as much as you, ambition is the X factor that solves everything, right? Like, as long as everybody is trying to get to the island over there, you're on the right team. As long as people have different levels of skill sets on that team. You honestly, in my opinion, don't necessarily want to be the top guy on that team, because then it's hard to learn, right? Like, you need, you know, all different stratospheres of execution. So anyway, that's what I would say to that, Matt. But yes, it is difficult to do in corporate America, for sure.
Oh yeah. Because yeah, it's kind of the opposite. You're getting the opposite of that message of like, you know, I don't know. That, again, that's just my experience, and I'm kind of getting sidetracked. But that that was a thing I really didn't like about those jobs, where it was like, show up, you know, here's your break time, here's your this time, do the tasks we tell you to do. And I'm sure there's room for development within that kind of like sphere, but there was something kind of deadening about it, and they're not really, you know, being like, hey man, go all out in a bunch of different areas. Like, you know, do you really like doing this? Blah blah blah. But the so dude, also okay, so you're just to kind of boil that down, this week you're getting back to the basics. You are, and what does that look like per se? Like, what is your
so there's kind of like habitual nature of my industry, which is get back to the basics, make the phone calls, keep up my research, distribute information to clients. Like that's the thing. Like, I see myself as a teacher, right? So learn more information, go out there and create that and teach that information. Now, where I really want to get is where I'm pumping out videos consistently. So I want to get back working on that. So I'm going to start working on the next video. But then also the non-habitual nature of the industry is that those habits will get me to make incremental progress a long time, and not even incremental, actually substantial progress, but project-based work. That's what's going to make a more of a leapfrog effect. So we just did our goal setting out here at a gorgeous hotel last week, and we set all these goals for 2022. And one of the partners said, I'd be really surprised if we can hit a lot of these. And that really pissed me the fuck off, to be honest. So I'm going to start a massive action plan around that this week. So really doubling down on some of these projects and getting out ahead of the gate of 2022.
Nice, man. I'll be really interested to see what happens with that. And that'll be cool to see that whole squad of people confront that and see like, holy shit, we did that. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, our goal for this year was to get to 250 million in management, and we're now at 285 ish. So some people said that goal last year was crazy, and we crushed it, and we're not done the year yet. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. How about you, buddy?
This week, the main goal. So this is like my kind of only rest week, I guess, because I went to Chicago the week before. I went to the mountains last week. I have a week off. Then I get married next week. So the thing that I'm trying to do
Saturday, right?
Yeah, the 23rd. So all I'm doing is my main focus is getting done the script, or the kind of writing portion of the last Psych Null meditation series, for the last video of that series. So that's my main focus this week. Obviously doing my podcast and sticking to kind of like the diet and regimen and all that other stuff. But like in terms of like getting a thing done, and also I gotta like I've been trying to take a little more initiative with like just stuff around the house with like, like take it, like, Brittany's been doing all of like pretty much a lion's share of the wedding planning. So I've been like trying to step up and do like take little things off of her plate rather than being like, yeah, she's got it. So, so really just finish that video, help as much as I can with the wedding stuff, start cleaning up a little bit around here and kind of stay on my fitness stuff. So that's it.
Right. Hell yeah, man. Cool. Well, let's do it to it, buddy. And
right.
Yeah, the guys have a great fucking week. And I'll see you guys on Friday.
All right. Later on.
Later, dudes.
Later.